Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel. You're probably a little bit confused at the moment, wondering, wait a minute, Phoenix Knight live in the game room? Well, yes, I am live in the game room. And next question you're probably having is, well, how? So the way I'm actually going to turn the mic down a little bit here. Hopefully that should be a little bit better. Okay. So the way I'm live in the game room is I didn't move my computer in there all of a sudden. Normally I run everything from my PC, but over the weekend I actually picked up a laptop and I spent a little bit of time getting all that set up. So this is going to kill two birds with one stone for me. One, it's going to be a test stream, and two, as part of a recent product unboxing, I got in Stuka Leader from DVG. So that's the other bird, along with most of the expansions. So that's the second bird we're going to kill here. We're going to unbox Stuka Leader as part of DVG, as part of this product unboxing / test stream. Let me turn the mic down a little bit more. Hopefully that should be coming in okay. You guys can weigh in the chat if it's too loud, but we're going to go ahead and unbox all of this on this test product unboxing so we can get the expansions out of the way for the time being. Being careful not to punch anything out. And we'll start off with let me see if I can adjust that just a touch. Okay. That looks like it's as straight as it's going to get. So let's go ahead and crack Stuka Leader first. The World War II European Theater Solitaire game from DVG. Looking at the back. Only in the spirit of attack, born in a brave heart, will bring success to any fighter aircraft, no matter how highly developed it may be. Adolf Galland. Stuka Leader places you in command of a group of German pilots and aircraft in World War II. Your group will include fighter aircraft such as the Me-109 and FW-190. You will also have bombers like Ju-88 and He-111. The star of the show is of course, the Ju-87 Stuka. Stuka Leader includes campaigns from Poland to the end. In Stuka, you get to bomb London, destroy the British Expeditionary Force at Dunkirk, and defend Berlin with the latest and greatest aircraft such as the Me-262. As commander of this group, you will face all kinds of ground fire and aerial opponents. You will face everything from the PZL, P-11 in Poland to the Spitfire and the Hurricane during the Battle of Britain. You also get to face the dangerous Mustang and Thunderbolt in the defense of the fatherland. Face famous bombers such as the B-25 and B-17. French, British, and Polish bombers are also included. Stuka Leader is, of course, a solitaire game, which you can also play cooperatively. Stuka allows you to try and rewrite history and gain a victory for the fatherland. OKL expects you to exceed expectations. Of course, a Dan Verson game and designed by Chuck Seegert. We'll put that down because that thing is stupidly heavy. Let me see if I can bring the chat live. Doc. Chat. Here we are. Okay, so now that we've got everything all set up, let's go ahead and crack this open and see what all we've got in here. As usual, we'll start with the knife. Okay, that should be nice and easy. Closing the knife carefully, because I've had fun in games with that in the past. The mic might sound a little bit different as well, because I'm also testing out a new cordless mic that I've got running here. Everything seemed to be working fine on that front. Plus, it's kind of a cordless style mic that I've always wanted to have, so that's a little bit different as well. Plus, the cordless mic actually lets me move around a lot more, so that's also very helpful. Anyway, before we move any further, if you're wondering where the Twilight Inscription video is, I'm working on that right now. That's actually exporting out of Adobe Premiere Pro right now, as I'm working on this stream. So hopefully you guys can weigh in the comments or in chat with how everything looks and sounds. But let's go ahead and get into Stuka Leader and see what all we've got in here. We're, of course, greeted by the rule book, which we'll give our cursory thumb through when we're done with the core box. This presumably is the tactical display. which we'll go ahead and open out. Pretty sizable tactical display. Looks like we've got all our approach areas. Quick reference, which I've always liked having that built in on the board. Then we've got ambulance, probably for damaged pilots. Fuel depot. I've heard that fuel is going to be a thing in this game that I'll need to have an eye on. Supply dump, target deck, and event deck. So, and a turn tracker up there. So that's very handy. We can get that out of the way. Then we've got our player log, which I've managed to find a copy of online. Not double-sided, so that might make our life a little bit easier there. More target terrains. Looks like a C target of some kind. Double-sided. I imagine it's double-sided for cosmetic reasons. And we've got land targets. Also double-sided. Another target card. Looks like a port. I wonder if the different targets might utilize various targets. Another land. And what looks like another port. Another target card. And looks like over C. Over land again. Okay. And that. Okay, cool. Now we start getting into the campaigns, and yes, I'm aware that these have been erratted already. I've actually got the erratted campaigns ready to print out. I just haven't bothered printing those out yet. Get all the campaigns out of the box. We've got Total War with all of our possible targets. Not double-sided, we can put that there. Grand Strategy on the Eastern Front, starting in Poland and eventually advancing into the Soviet Union. Grand Strategy for the Mediterranean campaign. Okay. Oh, that's the entire war, actually. Okay. And we've got Skills, which also is not double-sided. Player help sheet. Admittedly, the traditional German font is kind of... I like it as a thematic cosmetic touch, but it kind of makes things a little bit harder to read. So you do have to be aware of that. And we've got hit results and how they resolve. Key terms. Which are probably pretty similar if you've played a leader game. Then we've got Jagdverband 44 from 1945. And yes, I probably butchered the German pronunciation of that. Give me a break on that. Defense of the Fatherland. So this is as things are going sideways for Germany. Actually, things have already gone sideways at this point. Operation Bodenplot. As things continue going sideways. Normandy, when things really start going sideways for the Germans. Valiant Defense. The invasion's getting ready. The invasion's coming. They don't know when yet. Things starting to tighten up. Here come the Americans. Well, technically Americans arrive, but it amounts to the same thing. Stalemate in the West. How things have kind of stalled out there. The Battle of Britain. Kanalkampf. So this looks to be the start of the Battle of Britain. Dunkirk, where we can try to break the British Expeditionary Force. When Goering promises Hitler the world and he can't deliver. France in 1940. And Poland as the introductory campaign. Okay, cool. Probably a good thing I'm doing this as a test stream rather than trying to record it, because there's a lot of stuff to get into. I got a collection from the game shop who is it? CLS Games down in Atlanta that has a lot of this stuff. So I got a collection for everything except for the first expansion. We've got our first sheet of punch board. The other side of that. Might be picking up a little bit of a fan from the laptop, but hopefully that's not too bad. I might be far enough, I should be far enough away that it's not picking anything up there. So I'm very much watching for technical details on all of that as I'm going through this unboxing here. More punch board. Other side of that. Looks like we're starting to get into some of the munitions. Okay. More of the munitions and probably some of the other key chits that we'll need. Along with our skill chits from the looks of it. And we've got sheet. And we've got more, we've got our bandits starting to come in here. Along with our land targets from the looks of it. It looks like we've got a couple sheets here of nothing but bandits. Jeez. Bandits for days from the looks of it. Wow, that's crazy. Yep, another sheet of bandits. Now we're getting into some of our guys. Our pilots, which there should be a stack of cards in here coming up soon. I hope. I hope it's not just punch board for years. More munitions. Okay, looks like we're just about through the punch board now. Okay. All right, then we've got a dogfight chart, which is predictably not double-sided. Turreted bomber. Okay, I think we're down into the bottom of this box. And we've got our tokens and the dice. Dice can probably just go in this baggie. Should be able to fit those in there just to make organizing this whole thing a little bit easier. Then we've got half a dozen sets of cards in here. As usual, I'm not going to tear these apart until I'm ready for them. Until I'm ready to deal with them, probably by sleeving them. And okay, we see in here that the box is completely empty with an insert in here. That insert is probably going to come out once I get done giving this the full maintenance treatment, so we can put everything back in here. Hopefully without too many problems. Yep. Going to be a little bit of a tight fit, but I think I can make it all go. There we are. That can all go back in. We'll get all of this back in. Once we get that back in the box, okay. Now let's bring the rule book in. Let me see if I can zoom in on this just a touch. Is it even going to let me open my... Question is this even going to let me open my webcam app so I can zoom in a little bit on the rule book? Or is it going to tell me, hey, no, you've got this? Or is it going to tell me OBS has this in? Yep. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. I was going to try to zoom in on the rule book, but predictably it's not going to let me do that. So I don't think there's a control on here that'll let me do that. Actually, hold on. Let me try opening that again. I apologize that I'm a little bit kind of putsy with the equipment. It's my first time using this on an actual broadcast. So we'll see how this goes. And it's not going to let me do anything with the zoom. I'm not all that terribly surprised by that. So that's kind of something that's good to know as well. Which I wonder if I can bring it up. Yeah, I think we can bring this up and do a thumb through here, even though the angle is going to be a little bit weird. Right, all the components. Also a fairly thick rule book, but DVG rule books usually are pretty thick. Okay. Actually, I'm going to put this down. It's not going to focus completely on the rules, but this is more kind of a glance to show you guys what the rule book looks like anyway. Okay. Explaining how the campaign sheets work, but that's probably fairly straightforward if you've played a Leader Series game before. Tactical display and the pilot cards. How the target cards are laid out. Weapon and sight counters. Bogies, bandits, and bombers, along with the event cards. Oh, and we've got German and English titles. Okay, good to know. How to set up a campaign. Again, probably fairly straightforward if you've played a Leader Series game before. Maybe a little bit of unique stuff with Stuka Leader. Okay. Right, explaining how a campaign works and the player log, how to set that up. Then the sequence of play, along with pre-flight details. A lot of pre-flight stuff. Target-bound flight. Over target. Dogfighting. Looks like that's going to be pretty similar to Zero Leader, so that's helpful. Air to ground and sights and bandits attack, just explaining how each of the phases works. Okay. Homebound flight stuff. Aces expansion rule, which I think I have the Aces expansion in this mess. Optional rules and the appendix to explain what the Axis aircraft, explain a little bit of history behind the aircraft from the looks of it. All right, the bombers. And Appendix B looks to be, what is this? Looks like it's just a check on which aircraft are eligible to be used in each campaign. So that actually, this might be a handy chart to get an extra copy of. Good to know. And then maybe which planes we can face is what this one might. Okay, so I think B is what we can use. C is what we can face. Then we've got all our acknowledgements and all that, and the empty rule book at the back. Okay, cool. So that's the core box that's been unboxed. Now let's see about the expansions. The only expansion I'm missing from this is the first East Front expansion. So we've got the Mediterranean expansion here at the top of the stack. I'll pull that off. Hopefully I can get this back in the box so I can, oh yeah, I can get that back in the box so I can keep so I can make sure I know what expansion is what. In the Mediterranean expansion, we've got more punch board with bandits and sights in particular to that. And we've got 3 new campaigns from the looks of it. We've got Allies Advance in 1942, not double-sided as usual. The Assault on Sicily. And the entire Italian campaign. Okay, cool. More content is always a good thing. That way, if I get bored in Europe, I can move over to, well, if I get bored over the fatherland, I can move over to a different front of the war. So that one's been unbagged, I should say. I was about to say unboxed, but we've got bags here. The unboxing was for the core game of Stuka Leader. Next up, we've got another Mediterranean expansion. We'll get that off carefully. That'll work. And we can see we've got some of the punchboard chits falling out already. I should probably find a baggie for those, but I can deal with that later. Got the punchboard there. This is in Mediterranean 1. That's the other side of that. Easy does it, Phoenix. We're not ready for that yet. And we've got 3 new campaigns here again. Siege of Malta. Germans arrive. And Operation Pedestal from 1942. Okay, cool. We can get those back in the box. Oop. I found it all. I think I just about punched another shit out before I was ready for it. You can go back in there. Come on. There we are. All right. Next expansion we've got here is East Front number 2. So I'm missing East Front number 1, but I want to go work on tracking that down at some point in the future. But I definitely want to get Stuka Leader to the table. I definitely want to get that to the table before I look into tracking the expansion down. So we can go ahead and crack this open and see what's in here. Admittedly, the nice thing about streaming is I probably wanted to say I need to take a small break, but we've got our punch board on Eastern Front number 2, then the other side of that. And as usual, 3 new campaigns. Battle of Kursk in 1943. Operation Bagration from 1944. This is basically, simplest view for this is the East Front Normandy. And the Battle of Silo in 1945. Okay. So those can go back in the bag again. There we are. All right. Next expansion we've got here is the Spanish Civil War. Look at that. Preferably without, well, as long as I don't have a problem with tearing it, as long as I don't tear the main stuff. So as long as I still identify what expansion's what, I don't usually have a problem tearing the little cardboard piece. Getting this out carefully. All right, so we've got, as usual, more punch board than the other side of that. Looks like the end of the Spanish Civil War, so this is just testing out what the Luftwaffe can do, at the very least, in some of the Germans' new military weapons. And the early days of the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 37. All right, so those can go back in their baggie as well. Okay, just making sure nothing went sideways in terms of having a hard time getting the bag in there. All right. Next expansion we've got here is a what if expansion. So I'm wondering if this is going to be what if the Germans won the war in Europe, which I've got several games like that, namely Defending America and America Bomber, Evil Queen of the Skies. So I definitely like having that what if aspect available to me as well. But let's get this out and see what's in here. As usual, we're greeted by more punch board. Okay. and we're starting to turn the tide. What if the amazing aircraft Germany had on the drawing boards were available? Okay. Germany attacks, 1946. So this is against the British capital. This is basically trying to attack London. And then going after the United States. Based in Cuba, German aircraft attack the American homeland. In defending America, and America bomber, of course, you might recall, the Germans have a forward air base in the Azores from under heavy pressure from Portugal after they've won the war in Europe. So they're using the forward base in the Azores to go after the U.S. And then the last expansion we've got here, last expansion we've got for the time being, is the heaviest of the bunch, but it's the Aces expansion. There's everything there. We've already got some of the punch board coming out because it started falling apart before we were ready for it. And what we've got in here we'll get everything out for sake of completeness, but let's see. I was going to say there should be one more chit in here. Like I said, I don't want those going too far, but those are the chits that came loose, probably in transit. So we definitely want to keep those together. But once more, we've got a whole bunch of cards here. I've got three of the sets here. And the other 3 aces here. As usual, I don't pull the cards out. Until I figure out how I want to punch them or how I want to deal with them. But anyway, there's the punch board and the other side of that. All right, we'll get those back in. The cards can go back in as well. We'll close that up. All right. And that is everything that came in this delivery for Stuka Leader. So you guys can tell me in the comments section how everything looked on the technical aspects. Everything seemed to be looking fine as I was watching the stream on OBS, but again, you guys can weigh in on that in the comments down below. That'll do it for this product unboxing of Stuka Leader. I also got some stuff from Astronauts in that I may do an unboxing of later, but that won't be right now. So as far as what's coming up on the channel, the video for Twilight Inscription is still I believe, exporting from Adobe. I didn't check it while I was doing this unboxing, so that should be coming up probably tomorrow morning. I suspect that's going to be an overnight upload. As for what else is coming up on the channel, Saturday Mystical Munchies will continue out of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Black Spire Outpost cookbook as we make the entree Fried Andorian Tip-Yip. Sunday, we're playing Space Corp 2025 to 2300 from GMT. And next week, we're playing Terraforming Mars, the dice game. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.